Okay. Blah 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 song that's playing for House Divided. Welcome to House Divided, episode 3. Um, I'm one of your hosts, Tyree, and my partner is TZ.
Partner in crime, Teasy.
Obviously, House Divided. I'm the Aggie. He's the Longhorn, and going into week 3 or week 2 of the season for college football and our third episode. Um, Basically, what happened this weekend just kind of disrupts everything. It's what disrupted everything. And so we're not going to stick to a structured podcast today because just too much wild things happened this weekend. Um, we'll start with how many teams in the top 10 lost this week. Embarrassingly, my Aggies humiliated themselves on national TV. Notre Dame humiliated themselves. Baylor humiliated themselves. Um, so, tell me what you think. Tell me what stuck out to you as something that happened this week that you either didn't or did expect.
I mean, we'll start with college football. I mean, for me, of course, I am a Longhorns fan, so the old moral victory cliche thing, we got close, almost beat them, stuff like that, competed. Um, in all honesty, I didn't want to see us compete, so that type of stuff does feel good. But at the end of the day, we were in a position to where they committed, I think, like 15, 16 penalties, 17 penalties, something like that. Um, we had good position. We could have came away with more. I mean, that ended up being a winnable game, even with Quinn Ewers getting hurt. I actually was not upset at the way Hudson Card played. This sucked to lose, then lose the game, as I mentioned to you, lose the game and then lose our quarterback. Like I said, it's only for some weeks, and hopefully he does bounce back, and maybe we're able to tread water. I don't know, but um, yeah, so once we were in the game, I had a chance to win it. After we kicked the field goal, I kind of knew. I was like, man, there's way too much time left. And then they came out in that old prevent defense. And there was a play at the end where old boy could have came up, and those are the championship winning plays or whatever, game winning plays, where he could have came up with a sack and Bryce Young got out of it. But there also was a clear hold. There were some missed calls. So things like that do suck. But at the end of the day, we lost the game. We lost the quarterback. We magically become ranked after losing. First team to do that in a very long time, I think, in poll history. Not ever, but like I said, very long time. But, I mean, uh, it hurts. Hurts, like I said, because I wanted Quinn to be able to get in, get some reps, get a report, things like that, so that next year he would be the unquestioned, so to speak, quarterback coming in. And then Arch wouldn't have if he stays committed and signs with us, wouldn't have an issue, redshirting or whatever. Understanding that this ain't his year, next year is clearly his year, whatever, when he comes in. So I hope it doesn't muddle up that timeline of things. But for y'all, I actually didn't see much of y'all's game. But just looking at the box score, like, man, and you've been saying it for a while, and I guess as I was telling you, there was some of the talk on Twitter is like, Jimbo is a horrible play caller. And I have to give you credit since day one or day zero, you have not wanted Haynes King to be your starting quarterback, or since that very first game. I don't think you're
Once
I don't think you're very sold on the video you saw, but then certainly after the very first game he ever played in his freshman season, didn't want him. So yeah, the defense, from what I saw, still played well. They were playing against, like I said, it's definitely a college type offense it looked like, but got to give Appalachian State credit. They came in there, did their thing. It sucks for Notre Dame that they lost because um, Marcus Freeman is a black head coach, and so I want to see him do good because I feel like a lot of people didn't feel like he
that's
earned that.
racist.
I'm just saying he didn't feel like a lot of people didn't feel like he earned that job or whatever. So I wanted to see him succeed, and so he's come out the gate slowly. I don't know what took Nebraska so long, but thank goodness, I guess they got rid of Scott Frost for their fan base because
Well,
that was not.
go back before you get too far down that rabbit hole. Let's go back to the Texas thing. So,
Mhm.
do you feel like that it was Texas's ability or Alabama's inability to do things?
So I can say this for sure. I didn't know why Alabama didn't run the ball more during that game because they were having a decent amount of success. I understand they had the one long run, and not all of them were hitting for like that, but I feel like they were having success running the game. Um, but as far as our defense against their offense, you can clearly tell that the Alabama wide receivers are not what they've been in previous years.
Right.
But as I mentioned to you, it didn't matter who we've gone up against. We wouldn't stopped anybody or shut anybody down or made them look any type of way and only held Bryce Young to one throwing TD. And like I said, a fairly decent throwing percentage and things like that. But yeah, so I have to say, yes, it's clear that Alabama's offense, especially wide receivers, maybe not much so much. Like O-line didn't play horrible, but yeah, I do think a lot of it was just improvement I'm seeing. I think I sent you a statistic about the number of pressures we've gotten, and that's what I was telling you. We don't even get pressure on people, and so I think it was more us than them, but you can definitely tell that Alabama and the receiving corps is not what they used to be, and so they definitely look gettable in that aspect.
Yeah, they there's definitely no Jamison Williams, no like new surprise Mechie character that's going to show up and take over a game when somebody goes down. They they like I couldn't tell early on if it was because they were trying to they didn't think they needed to do anything crazy to beat y'all
Yeah,
or what it was. Like it just looked like they didn't have a real good game plan and I mean, even like early on, like you could see wide receivers would run a route and Bryce Young would throw the ball and it would be like, all right, well, would that have been a difficult catch? It wasn't the easiest catch, but it hit their hands. Like there was one play where the wide receiver ran a slant across the middle and he laid out for the ball, but like his hands weren't fully extended. He was right here and the ball went right through his hands. That would have
yeah,
been an easy first down. But they didn't seem to but the thing that I'll take from it that I thought was the most exciting and enjoyable for being an Aggie and even seeing Texas have success was the amount of penalties that you mentioned that Alabama had. People around the country that are SEC fans were looking at that thinking, I knew them was holding every play. I knew they was cheating because every pass play that y'all threw was damn near a pass interference. It was like, all right, this is what happens in the SEC. So first off, Texas people, you need to get used to what happened in that game. You need to get used to it happening and there being no penalty because in the SEC play, Alabama can tug down your pants and they still won't get a pass interference call. They are the Texas in the SEC. Like all the homer calls that y'all be getting, they get those in SEC play. So it was good to see Alabama get some of that medicine of yes, you do cheat all the damn time, and yes, the refs.
and that was the thing is that we got the pass interference in the end zone and we didn't punch that in for points, and then it turned out to be a missed kick, and it's the things like that. Even with the way that we played and how things went, the fact that we still had a chance to, you can say, should have won that game. Like I said, that is the big letdown about it. Like I'll be honest, I wasn't like most people thinking we were going to get smoked, but could I see us getting smoked? Yes, but I didn't expect us to be in the point of the game that we were in, and so yes, that was a nice thing. At the end of the day, um, loss hurts, and then like I said, losing viewers hurts, and then now even possibly losing card because they say he's day to day. The report just said so.
What
Yes,
cards day to day?
yeah,
Ooh, that's good though, because don't y'all got that Malik Murphy cat?
but I don't think he's in line. They're talking about Charles Wright, which he's a former walk on, so he could be our, he could be
Boy,
our Baker. He could be our Baker. Who knows?
man, y'all just be disrespecting Malik Murphy. Malik transfer. Find some place where they will like you and allow you to play some football, man. Or turn into a wide
So
receiver like they did Gerard Hurd. Was it Hurd or is it
it
Snead?
was hurt.
It was Hurd. Yeah, turn to a wide receiver because they don't think black people can be quarterbacks in Austin.
So what are your thoughts on the college football weekend in general? And of course, I want to hear your thoughts on your team because, like I said, they did suffer. a loss that many people wouldn't consider good.
Inexcusable. Like, I have wanted Jimbo to do well so bad, but since day one, I'm not talking about day one 2022 season, day one 2017, first game, what he was displaying was an uncanny stubbornness. And he continues to be the most stubborn man in America. It's like, ugh. He always chooses the wrong thing to do, and he just sticks with it. Like, I know you watch Scooby Doo because I know you, but like, if you think about Scooby Doo, how at the end of every episode they take off the mask of the villain, who was a ghost, and you find out that it was just some regular person in a costume. I feel like if you took off Jimbo's face mask, like it would be Jake Spavital, because that's the type of offense we have been running since Jimbo has been there. It's so predictable, and it doesn't work. And instead of changing, he just keeps doing the same thing. He's like, all right, you guys load up. There's 11 men in this box, but I want to run this game, so I'm going to run. Our wide receivers could be in the end zone by themselves. He's like, no, we got to establish the run. I'm going to run into that loaded box. Run. They could be in prevent. He's like, I'm going to throw it deep every play until we complete the deep pass. It's like, damn, Jimbo. And you sent me that video on Twitter of that guy that was like, this is spoiled milk, and you've been giving it to him since 2014. Like,
yeah,
legit. Like, he just won't change. Like, he just is stuck in his ways. So, was I surprised at Appalachian State? No, because if you look back at our first podcast, our second podcast, I said then, first podcast I said, we do not belong in the top 10. We are not a top 10 team, and I can't imagine how they came up with that notion we were a top 10 team. We didn't have any level of returning success coming back. And then week 2, after I saw what we did at week 1 against Sam Houston State, it was like, we are in trouble against Appalachian State. And I told you, like, I was like, we are going to struggle this episode. Stop it. Y'all going to beat Appalachian State. I said, nope. Like, it doesn't look good. We are in trouble. Like, it's legit a worry for me that we're going to lose Appalachian State. Fast forward to today, and damn it if I wasn't Nostradamus in here predicting the future.
I didn't think I would have 97 yards passing, though. That's the thing. I get it. I get what you're saying about the predictability, but you can almost, like, you can, obviously the football field is 100 yards, but you can have 97 yards on one play. So I didn't think that was going to happen. I get what you're saying about the predictability, but like I said, y'all have some weapons now, and I don't know if you saw what Evan Stewart retweeted or liked or whatever.
Yeah, but I can't blame him for it because, but I don't know that I would agree with his statement so much as I agree with the frustration behind the retweeting of that thing, because the insinuation is that we have the players but don't have the scheme. Y'all have a better scheme but don't have the players to run it. Would point to y'all having a lack of talent and us having a lack of coaching from a scheme wise. I don't think the scheme is necessarily bad, but I think the play calls and situations are bad. But I think more so we have the wrong players doing the wrong things. King has never been the guy for me. I take that back. When I heard he was signing with this, I was hyped about him. And then I watched the videos about him, and I was like, I'm not so sold on this. And then I went and looked at his stats, and it was like, wait a minute. This dude threw for 3,000 yards with Division I talent. Then the next season, he lost all those guys, and all of a sudden, he could only throw for 1,700 yards? What, like, what is he doing? Was the talent drop off that dramatic, or was his ability boosted because he had all those top tier guys and was eating off of their success? And then when they was gone, it was like, this is the real dude right here that can only throw for 1,700.
So that's where I will push back on you a little bit. Is that I do kind of agree with that and what he's saying. Is that I get that we've signed not horrible classes and things like that, but if you look at certain positions and skill groups, we haven't done a good job there. So to speak to, like you said, scheming and play calling, everybody knew B. John Robinson was the guy that's stopping the game, and for the most part on the running, they did. He didn't have any really big gaping run or anything like that. He had a few solid runs, but mostly like 2-3 yard runs and stuff like that. But at the right before halftime, um, he schemed for Bijan to come out there was two receivers on that side, schemed for them to run a certain route, and got and this is when Hudson Card was in the game, and got Bijan one on one with the linebacker and for like a little wheel route type thing, and Hudson Card threw a nice ball, and Bijan went up and made a catch. So I think things like that is what Evan Stewart might be saying as far as scheme. And like I said, there were times where honestly Quinn Ewers threw a pass in the first quarter and should have been a touchdown, but Xavier Worthy dropped. It was a difficult catch, but he dropped it going to the ground. And like I said, he had 100. So I think that's what he's saying. Like, if you can tell that scheme, that's what I've been saying over the last 2 years. I can say since Shark has got there, our offense has looked much better. There are times where it has gone silent, and we've allowed teams to, make a second half deficits, even though they weren't big and things like that. But scheme-wise, I can definitely say I love the scheme that he's been running and the play calling that he's been doing since he's
been there. Yeah, but I'm more so talking about, like, it's not a scheme problem when you have a guy running wide open anywhere on the field. If you have any player on your football field is wide open at any time, whatever play you called was a good play.
The fourth read, though?
Huh?
What if that's the fourth read on that route, though?
It doesn't matter. He's wide open. That means if he's wide open,
that's what I'm saying. That means he gave you that power with Bijan. He's looking for Bijan. He's scheming Bijan to be his main open route on that pass. Just throw it to Bijan to throw it out of bounds. So all these other 4 routes are irrelevant for you actually to throw it to. Because I know you're Hudson Card, and I got to simplify things. I got to give you the route.
Right. I have to give you but that's okay, and that's coaching. That's not a scheme. That's coaching of, I know you can't do this, so I'm not going to ask you to do the most complicated thing. I'm going to have this complicated thing for the people who are good at doing those, but I know you can't do this, so I'm going to give you the easy read. Look at this guy. If he ain't open, throw it out of bounds. Like, I'm not going to complicate it for you, Carr, because I know you aren't that good at doing these things. And the same should be then said for Haynes King. Haynes King, Hudson Card, same damn name, basically. Like, if Haynes King can't do all these complicated things that are in the offense, why not simplify the offense? If he's so damn fast, 22 miles an hour running, why isn't he running the football? I don't understand.
Because that's not because you know why. Because what top flight quarterback is going to come there to run the option?
But if that's the case, if that's all he can do, why would we put him as the guy? If all you can deliver is running straight line speed, I don't need you there. I need
so is Jalen Hurts not much better of a thrower than the football of Haynes King?
Is who?
Because Jalen Hurts, he was a runner, but they did have a option-based offense when he was either at Alabama and at OU.
Yeah, but they implemented zone read for him.
Teams and the concepts made it. They were like, hey, you either you hand the ball off, you take it, or if it's the RPO, like I said, it's the RPO.
Right.
This is your one route.
Right. But what did they do? So that's what I'm saying. It's not like it's coaching, because when Jalen was the QB his freshman year and took him to the national championship where they lost to Clemson, he was the guy, unquestioned starter, wasn't throwing the football a whole lot, was dinking and dunking, would run when he needed to run. Next year, when he is the guy and Tua is the backup, when Tua came in and did his plays, what did they give Tua? They gave Tua passing things, because that's what Tua was good at. He wasn't necessarily good at the run. When Tua took over completely and exiled Jalen the third year, it was a pass-heavy offense because that was Tua's strength. Fast forward to when he.
We're talking about, that's what I'm saying. Coaching develops the scheme. So that's what I'm saying. I feel like we're talking about the same thing. We're just focusing on different words. But that's what I'm saying. I agree with what you're saying. And just from what I saw in the few games that I've seen, I agree that Jimbo does need to give up play calling and they need to be less predictable because that was it. It almost kind of sounds like you go through the problems I had when Tom Herman was our coach. It was like we know what Sam Ellinger is going to do.
Right, but that was a problem because you knew Sam Ellinger wasn't a 400-yard passer, but you still kept sitting that man in the pocket, hoping he was finna pass for 400 yards. Sam is a Tim Tebow.
Yeah, they would run it.
Right. Sam was Tim Tebow, a right-handed Tim Tebow. Put him back in the drop back. If someone opens up real quick, he can hit that dump off right there and there. Occasionally, he has to throw deep to keep the defense honest. But
and we had big receivers for that reason, so he couldn't just throw it up.
Right.
We had 6 Colin Johnson.
Right. But for the most part, you want that man with the football in his hand running down the field because that was a strength of his. If Haynes King is a runner, we should be running him. If our line is really as bad as people keep complaining it is, why didn't we use the screen game?
But going back to what I was trying to say, and I kind of got off focus. Having that type of offense is, and I just throw a name out there. I know it's committed to us, whatever. But is Arch Manning coming there to run that option, that offense? So I think that's another big reason why he doesn't. They don't want to go full.
Yeah. Okay, but imagine this. So if your company is designing robots, do you want to design a robot that does all kinds of flashy things, or do you want to design a robot that works?
Of course you want to design a robot that works.
Right. Well, so A&M could want to have the Malachi Nelsons and the Arch Mannings come to town and throw the football for 400 yards. But if they never see the football thrown for 400 yards, how can they imagine that that's what's going to happen when they show up?
Because that's what they did. And what is Connor Weidman?
Who?
Connor Weidman. What was he? A top 2 pro-style quarterback?
Right. But that's why Haynes King can't be the guy.
Still being able to get the guy.
Right, but Haynes King can't be the guy. Like, you can't continue to get top-flight wide receivers and never throw them the football.
Yes.
Do you agree with that statement?
Texas has gone through it. Yes.
Right.
It's immediately changed as soon as Shark got on board.
Right. So if Jimbo has any desire to continue to push the offense into the next level, we have to have those guys that can do that. If we don't do something to entice the guys to do that, to come to the school there, how would we are killing ourselves. Haynes King missing wide open targets across the field is a bad look. Evan Stewart
so you're saying change the quarterback. I understand it. So
yes, change the damn quarterback. Change all the damn quarterbacks. Never let Haynes King touch a football. I don't care if this man is the practice. Haynes King must be the practice messiah. And people keep talking about how he's great in practice. He must be fucking amazing in practice because he shows up on Saturday and looks so confused the entire time. He doesn't know what's going on. The second play of the game, he has Evan Stewart running a seam route. He throws it at this man's feet like Taysom Hill. What the hell? He was wide open. He hits.
That's why Evan frustrated.
He hits Evan Stewart in stride. That man is off to the races. No one's catching him. The last play of the game we had on offense was 3rd and 11. He misses a guy running a drag route wide open. There isn't another defender or offensive player within 10 yards. Yul Keith Brown is allegedly our fastest person on our team, and he throws behind this man so far that
I did see that play on the little.
All he has to do is do a simple pass, and that's a first down, and possibly more because Yul Keith will take it off and probably get us within a manageable field goal if we really do have to kick a field goal. And then, what the hell was that kick? That shit didn't get blocked. Like, what happened? I don't understand.
I forgot to ask you, was that Seth Small?
No. Seth Small's in the NFL. This is a new kid who allegedly can kick 70-yard field goals, and it's like...
Hang on 1 second.
Yeah, so he just... Like, he didn't even get a close kick. It didn't get blocked. It just came off his foot. Just like ridiculous. I happened to be at the OU game at the time, and everybody was standing and cheering for OU about to kick off, and I just sank in my seat. Just man, we really did just lose to Appalachian State. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, there is no explanation for it. And my whole thing is, and if y'all get upset about it, get over it. But at the end of the day, whoever is calling plays, because we have an offensive coordinator named Daryl Dickey, who while he was at Memphis was producing top 20 offenses at Memphis with Memphis talent. Now, obviously,
Yeah,
against
Tony Pollard. Huh? Tony Pollard, didn't he?
You said Tony Pollard?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he utilized lower tiered players to produce even against Power 5 conference teams. So it's either him calling plays or it's Jimbo Fisher. The general thought is that it's Jimbo calling plays because he got the 55 play sheets in his face looking at 100 plays, and there's 2 of them on the page that are highlighted because that's all King can run. Bring in Max Johnson, bring in Connor Wegman, let one of them play. Last week, on Saturday, there was no reason for Connor or Max to have not gotten at least one series.
I agree. Just based off of what, like I said, seeing the box score and then seeing some of the game highlights and what the score was and what was at the point in time, it couldn't have done any harm.
Right.
Give one of them guys a try.
One drive. Like, what if he comes in and he looks sharp? Like, Max Johnson got to play one series at the end of the Sam Houston State game because King sucks so fucking bad that he couldn't play. He gets one series. He looks sharp. He's 3 of 4, throwing the football around. Maybe he's the answer for the bad line play that we keep saying is happening. Maybe he's not.
That's mobile Haynes King, though.
What?
That's Haynes King. That's why he's there, because of the bad O-line play, quote unquote.
Right.
He's mobile.
But he doesn't.
Because he did have a nice long little 20-some yard run, I think.
Yeah, but he doesn't do it enough. If our line's that bad, we should be running screens and routes out, wheel routes, quarterback draw. Like, okay, our line can't block. Well, let's stop standing behind it then and taking sacks. You ain't looking down the field to throw. And if you throw like Taysom Hill.
Yeah, it is just interesting always to hear, like I said, and to see and the stuff that's written down and stuff. Just the pulse of the 2 fan bases of our schools after 2 weeks. How truly everybody is feeling great after the Alabama game for us. And then, like I said, I saw an article talking about Jimbo's buyout and everything like that. And stuff like that. And it's just like, man, it's just interesting to see. But it's, to me, oddly enough, both teams, I think I spoke to you about this yesterday for your team in a way, but I think both teams actually have a way to get into the playoffs in a way, or at least in the discussion, so to speak, which is it's interesting considering that y'all lost to Appalachian State and that we lost to, like I said, lost to Alabama, but we still lost.
Yeah, but if you haven't, I know
they're unrealistic for the most part, but I still feel like both teams have a way to get in.
I know you don't watch them, but the SEC Shorts, they put one out about last week, and it talks about that, about because Aggies have this unfortunate relationship, this ex-girlfriend relationship with Hope, and we keep hoping that she's going to lead us to victory in national championships, and really all she does is lead us off the cliff into battered Aggie syndrome. And anyway, so they did a video about you should check it out because it's got Texas in it, but it has a surprising thing in there that I don't think you would have expected given the way y'all played. So it was to me, I thought it was pretty good. Now they're never like ha 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 funny, but it's like, to me they're always like, oh, that's funny. I get it. I get where you're going there, and that's probably because it's true, because it always hurts to see the reality of how we're portrayed in those videos, which unfortunately is just our luck in life. So,
would it be surprising to you if I told you that Kevin Sumlin had a better record through the same amount of games than Jimbo?
No, I know that. I mean, he by one game.
Yeah, I understand.
14 losses, 15 losses. But again,
are y'all falling victim? And I don't know if we talk a lot through the years or whatever. Y'all falling victim to what Texas had and I'm not saying obviously that Kevin Sumlin was Mac Brown, but it's like y'all keep wanting better and better and better, but it just isn't happening. Like we keep getting rid of solid coaches and expecting more, but then it leads us either to the same thing or lesser.
No,
We've been that since Mac,
no,
obviously.
because Sumlin replaced our Mac Brown, and we needed to get rid of RC because RC was unwilling to adapt to the time. Like his
But the
off
expectations when y'all hired Jimbo were much different than when y'all hired someone.
right. Well, when we hired Sumlin, we were going into the SEC and going to get murdered. So it didn't matter what our coach was doing. We needed someone to rebuild the program's image. Sumlin did a fantastic job of that. Now he lucked up and had Cliff Kingsbury as his offensive coordinator. And then Johnny and Mike and all those offensive line prospects were already there. And so all that was the perfect recipe for us to skyrocket into those first two seasons. But since then, we've come all the way back down to what we were doing in the Big 12, that 8-4, middle of the pack in our division. We get one or two of the top teams. We knock them off each year, but we're never the top team in the conference. If you think back to the Big 12, we won the Big 12 South outright one time. We had a tie for another year. So in our 16 years in the Big 12, we won our division just twice. That's ridiculous. Fast forward to the SEC, we have yet to win the division. The closest we got was Johnny's first year, where if we don't lose to LSU in the last game of the season, we win the SEC West. But he had a bad game against LSU, figured out what to do with them and put him in his place. So I mean, it's
So what are the expectations for this season then? Your and I'll say your expectations. I know everybody has different expectations.
My expectations going into the season where we were going to be an 8-4 team, that this was not the actual year for us. We should be building for next year when all of our line will be juniors. Our weapons will be sophomores and juniors on offense. We would have a seasoned veteran quarterback that could be leading us, and our defense would go from sophomores and juniors to juniors and seniors.
So you said 8-4. So this wasn't one of the 4 losses I imagined you accounted for.
So we're not 8-4
anymore.
No, we're not 8-4 anymore. We're 6-6, 7-5 maybe. Like it's
that's what I'm saying. What if y'all go 7-5? Does that change the way you feel about the season any? Or 6-6? Does that change how? Because I don't think you were one of the people that, like I said, or it's not your money, so you don't care how big his buyout is. But I don't think you're one of those people that were saying this is a make it, break it year for Jimbo, or he could. Honestly, I mean, they obviously went like 3 or something. Then he might lose his job, but I don't think you would say cut him for 6-6. You wouldn't say get rid of him for 6-6.
It doesn't matter even if I wanted to. We can't get rid of him, unfortunately, because of what we did with his contract. The way we negotiated his contract is the dumbest thing that anyone could do other than Kansas did with Charlie Weiss and how they're paying him for the rest of his life, kind of thing. Like, we can't get rid of him. Even if the only thing we could hope for is another school wanted him and wanted to pay for his contract to buy out, and we would still have to be like, all right, you take $10 million, we'll take the other $10 million kind of thing. Because, like, his buyout is stupid. We re-upped him to 2031. So he's got 7 more years. He's got 9 more years on this contract that pays him $10 million a year. He ain't going nowhere unless he wants to. So that's the other part that makes it hard is like we know we want to tell Jimbo to go.
So he doesn't have to give up anything.
Right.
Play calling or anything.
He doesn't have to. We can't force his hand because he doesn't we have no leverage against him. We can't.
I mean, the boosters could be like, "Hey, Jimbo, we need some changes now."
They could say whatever they want to say, but he doesn't have to do anything because of the
NIL and things like that. Now, come on, if they have an impact on recruiting now, yes, he will have to think about it, and he'll probably will make some changes. As they say, that's the reason why Quinn Ewers won the job.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's really the only place where they could hit him is if in his money and incentives and stuff like that. Because he is stubborn, he's going to do whatever he wants to do, and the contract that he's being paid on has 0 stipulations where we can get rid of him. Like, even if he goes 0-11, we can't fire him and he still gets paid. It's all guaranteed for all of his years. So it's like, all right, well, we're stuck with this. So the best we can hope for is he stops being so stubborn. But the only way that's going to change is if the public perception just rains down the hate on him. Like the reporters, you can't be worried about losing your press pass. You got to be in there asking them, why isn't Daryl Dickey calling plays? You suck at this. Like, you're not any good at play calling. Let
Y'all
someone
play
else
this
do
week?
it. Huh?
Y'all off this week? Y'all play this week?
We play Miami this week.
Okay, so I imagine you're predicting a loss then.
No. I'm predicting a win this week.
Okay.
Because, and so before we get to that, I'll say College Game Day was supposed to be in College Station today or this weekend for the number 6 team versus the number 13 team matchup. Because ESPN and you guys, they love to take shots at us. So you know where game day is?
They're not going to Appalachian State.
They're going to Appalachian State to watch them play Troy.
No, they are not.
Yes, they are.
I saw something. I thought that was a joke.
College Game Day tweeted that.
Yeah, I saw. I thought it was a joke though.
Because that's how much ESPN loves the stupid horns. They love to take a shot at A&M. That's why
it sure is.
They love to boost A&M up so they can watch us fall spectacularly.
Wow, and now they're going to be talking about that game all week long on College Game Day. They're going to do
long.
Okay, so you might have some precedence there. I didn't know they were doing. There's no reason to be in that game. Y'all are still a interesting game. So
so us versus Miami, I think that we'll win only because Jimbo now feels the media scrutiny for sucking it up against Appalachian State. He's going to name today a new QB1. And when he does, it'll be Johnson. And I think Johnson will give the team that boost of now we have a proven, a guy who has stats. He's played SEC games. He's played big games. King has played 4 games. He's sucked in all 4 games. We've seen what he can do, and it's not good. Johnson, we've seen what he could do with an inferior team on paper, and he beat us in our number 1 defense. Why not give the kid a shot to lead our offense? Like, he can't do any worse than King. The best thing that could happen is he throws a bunch of good passes to Evan Stewart and to Chris Marshall, and the kids start to see, this offense could take off with the right kind of quarterback.
Yeah, I only think it's Chris Marshall had a catch in that game. I didn't see him in the box score, but might have been.
He was targeted, but I didn't see what happened with the pass play. Because I was driving at the time, I heard them say, and that pass to Chris Marshall was incomplete. It was like, great. Like, you underthrowing Evan Stewart, like, ridiculously. You missing Keith Brown wide open. You overthrew Anias in the middle of the field for a 30-yard gain. Nobody looked inspired. They all looked like they were bummed out with what was happening. They needed to change the QB. So,
are you impressed by USC?
I'm impressed by what their games have shown. I haven't watched any of their football. That games be too late for me. That's the other thing that I'm happy about this week is A&M plays at 9:00 at night. So I might be asleep. Hell, like, I have legit reason to go to sleep and ignore the game for once. So be like, 9:00, that's my bedtime. I'm going to bed, son. So
yeah, I got a bunch of, like I said, it's one of those things where I get a bunch of texts saying, "Oh, hey, I almost had it, man. Y'all impressed me, this and that." And I was like, "Yeah, awesome, cool." I will say it did feel good because I will say it felt good on this level too. I didn't have to see all the Twitter jokes fly out about us if we would have got ran out the building. People had them things in the draft waiting to go probably about, it's the SEC and all this other stuff. So I'm glad we hung in there. So at least, like I said, those Twitter jokes didn't get sent off.
Yeah, so go watch that SEC Shorts because it talks about that. It's funny that you mentioned that because it talks about that. Like, I think you would actually appreciate this one because it actually gives y'all some big ups for what y'all did to Alabama.
I was thoroughly impressed by the defense. Yes, that's why I said it earlier. The wide receivers certainly up to par. Bryce Young is still Bryce Young though, so there's still something to be said about having a Heisman winning quarterback back there. But you can definitely tell that the receivers were the one. But still, I've seen numerous opponents. I've seen teams from Appalachian, wide receivers from Appalachian State, running backs from Appalachian State, just eat us up all day long. So just to see the way the defense played, we got pressure, some sacks. Like I said, the calls didn't go our way, yada yada. I get all that, and that sucks. But just the way that our defense played and competed made me proud. Like I was happy to see that because I've not seen us play defense like that. Maybe, like I said, maybe Gary Patterson finally got involved in the game plan a little bit and helped teams some things out. But where our defense looked, I was certainly impressed by that. You can tell our offensive line was young with the run blocking. We did a fairly decent job pass blocking as well too. There were a lot of quick throws though, so we weren't giving them a lot of time to get there. But it is the what if thing if Quinn Ewers was there. I feel like we would have took some more shots and then maybe that would have resulted in some more sacks and a strip fumble, things of that nature. Who knows how it would have really gone. But I think the game plan would have been a little differently. But our offensive line and defensive line played well. So I was impressed by that. Happy about maybe what I'm going to see going forward with on both sides of those units. Like I said, it was good for us recruiting wise too to play that well against them too, because we did have a few 5-star recruits in the house and things like that. And I don't think we'll end up getting them, but we gave them something to think about possibly.
Right. All right. Well, we out of time. I appreciate y'all tuning in, listen to us rant. Hopefully next week, the next episode anyway, we'll have something more positive to talk about. Maybe even talk about Jesus for once, because all y'all need Jesus.
We all do.
Put them idle hands down. Anyway, thank y'all for watching House Divided. We'll see y'all next week.